Bigfoot, undisputedly the world's most entertaining cryptid. Join the Reverend Jeff Kelly and your old pal Wes as they discuss the best and worst the media has to offer. Movies, books, TV shows, commercials, all on Bigfoot Entertainment Weekly.
Listen. What? Over to the right.
The show just went up 10 rating points. That's the promo right there.
That's right, everybody. Bigfoot, the Lost Coast Tapes. I am your host, the Reverend Jeff Kelly, and this is Bigfoot Entertainment Weekly, along with your old pal Wes of WesLosner.com. How you doing, buddy?
What's up? How you doing?
And our special guest, that's right, LaRoche himself, Mr. Rowdy Kelly. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, good. Great to be on your show finally, huh?
Yeah, for sure, man. I've been trying to get Rowdy to come on and talk about Bigfoot, the Lost Coast Tapes, and the things that you didn't see for about 3 years now. And he's told me the stories in person over and over again, and I'm like, finally we're going to get it out there for all of you guys.
I promised you that you would get the exclusive on it, so.
That's absolutely right. I got to tell you, it was 2008 when this was filmed. Or 2007, I guess it was filmed. 2008, it was released. Let's look at the IMDb.
No, we're back here. It was released officially in like 2012, but I think we shot that in 2011. Yeah, 2011.
Okay, storyline says Sean Reynolds, a highly acclaimed investigative journalist who strongly believed in paranormal phenomena, destroyed his career when his most watched episode of his reality show based on paranormal phenomena turned out to be a hoax. Sean saw a news report on Bigfoot hunter Carl Drybeck, who claimed to possess the body of a dead Sasquatch, and he believes Drybeck is a phony and decides to create a new show that reveals people's paranormal claims as hoaxes. Sean assembles his old film crew and heads to Northern California's Lost Coast to meet and interview Drybeck. Obsessed, Sean is stalking his comeback, his life, and the lives of his documentary film crew on proving that Drybeck's claim to be a hoax. Now, you know what's funny about that is just reading that was the first time I had known anything about the paranormal investigation of any of that being a hoax and his career coming to a crash. I always just thought he was just some ass clown that was out to prove that Bigfoot was a hoax.
Yeah, he was trying to make his comeback, I guess, and he got burned pretty bad. Was the beginning of the show.
I really wish they would have let us know that somewhere.
Getting a bunch of money together, and he's like, "Come on, you get a crew together and let's go do this." But he's going out there with the intent that he's going to bust a hoaxer. So he's already been hoaxed, so now he's on the other end of it. He's like, "I'm going to go out and bust this hoaxer, and we'll make a show out of it."
Which is what we all had wished Biscardi had done. That would have been the best thing that would have ever happened if Biscardi would have turned on the ropes and become a hoax buster after the 2008 hoax. So this comes on the popularity of all of that. They see all this attention that the media gets, and all of a sudden they go, "Hey, let's make a Bigfoot movie." So you originally were the fixer for this movie, the location handler, is that correct?
Yeah, fixer's more of a TV term, but yeah, I was their location scout and location manager. So they had already come up and talked to another location manager, and they didn't like what she was giving them. So the film commissioner got a hold of me, and I took him out. Well, actually, they weren't here. I actually went out and did some of my first YouTube scouting, where I was out filming in HD and actually going to locations. And they sent me a few script diagrams of different locations that they had in mind. Of course, they sent me the script, and I read it, and got a lot of things in mind. And everything worked out. I had a friend who had a location that just fit exactly what they wanted. Sent them quite a few different videos of different places that they were looking to fit in the script, and it just worked out. Anyway, they came up, and we got to shooting this film, and they realized they didn't have enough Teamsters up here, so I ended up being a driver, driving the crew out to this one location because we had to drive up and over this big ridge, and go up and over this ridge and into this location, which is just outside of Ferndale. It was like a rite of passage because it was always windy and blowing up there, and it was usually foggy the time of year that we shot this. So we'd go up and over this foggy, just treacherous road, which was windy, and these passenger vehicles, and then we ascend into this valley. Beautiful valley, opens up, and it's usually nice down there, and we shot during the day and quite a bit at night, of course. But the valley itself had never really seen a film crew like that. It's somewhat of a remote location. It's not very far as far as a crow flies from a decent town like Ferndale or Fortuna.
Right.
But just to get there, it's slow driving.
I've been up to your area, and just anything outside of town is slow driving. I mean, everything is a twisty-ass, windy-ass, wet-ass road from October to sometime in April when all of that mess finally starts to dry out a little bit. If you leave town, you're on a windy-ass ridge road going over some mountains. So even in town, you're staring up at the mountains going, I got to cross over that to go to the next town? Nah, we're going to find a room tonight.
It's very steep here. And I do have to give credit. Go ahead, Wes.
Oh, the slow driving? Now, come on. Now, if you were the driver, now I've been in the car with you, and your idea of slow driving,
you know.
Oh, when just one buddy with me in my truck, that's a different story, Wes. You got people that next 8 weeks or the next 8 days of my life depend on me getting paid. So I'm.
I think I saw the quad reach 48 or 50 on some of them high roads to Twin Lakes, but whatever. Slow driving over the following rowdy, you got to be careful. But anyhow, so you take those guys up to this location to get into that valley. Now, does that location have everything that we see in the movie? It has. I mean, is it right there on the coast? So when you get down to the coast scene, or is that the magic to movie land where they filmed it at a different location at the coast?
Well, the writer of this script wrote it with the Mattole River Valley in mind. He had visited up there for like vacation spots with families different times, and he had kind of created this story with the Mattole River Valley. But the Mattole River Valley was actually a ridge over, which is even further in, and it would have been just really too unrealistic to be taking a crew in that far. But I have to give Corey credit that he really stuck to his guns about making this movie in the place, it was created, so to say, in the writer's mind. So I do give him credit for really pushing for that. They did shoot a lot of this, not a lot, but the beginning part of the movie with the reporters and them trying to get people together. They did shoot a lot of this in L.A. But as far as what was considered to be up here, it was shot reasonably, I would say, on location.
Now, what drove me crazy about it was the fact that it was supposed to be like almost found footage or reality-style shot footage for the movie, but it was way too good a quality, and the shots were too damn stable. So, I mean, you weren't fooling anybody that you had this giant film crew, involved. How many people were involved with making this? It definitely wasn't just the three clowns that were there with handy cams and the one guy with a good sensor.
Yeah, I would give this movie a 35 to 40 people. Yeah,
wow. See, that's something I wouldn't even thought that many people. So that's incredible.
We had 3 13 pass. And plus a few extra vehicles. So yeah, I think our heavy days were up to 40 people. But that was including your cast because you didn't have much cast, involved with it.
So you had a film crew making a movie about a film crew making a movie about a film crew.
Right. So what really happened behind the scenes in this movie, literally and fictionally on film, I think. Much better movie, because by the time you get done with this movie, you're just like, what the hell happened?
Well, it takes about 21 watches before you finally actually get the movie. And for Wes, we were just talking about that pre-show. He's seen it as many times as I had, and I always thought that it didn't have a Bigfoot in it. I mean, yeah, you see the scene where she gets dragged through the woods, but you don't really see exactly what that was. But then Wes and I both come to the conclusion, there's a scene with a Bigfoot moving through the trees and shit. I mean, I'd never seen it before.
Yeah, it flashes by, and then another scene where in the cave, I mean, further towards the end of the movie when they go to look for the body that Drybeck had.
Yeah,
there's
it
a
flashes
scene
in
where
front of the camera.
you see full body, like it covering its face and going off.
Mm-hmm.
And, like,
Never noticed it before, honestly.
The first, like, 17, 18, 19 times.
Well, they shot a portion of that. They did recreate a cave down in L.A. What we did is we shot a mouth of what looked like a cave, and it actually really was. But that we shot that at a place called Moonstone. It's a beautiful scene, sand, tide going out, kind of going by it, and that was the idea of the characters. Like, you know, you can only get to it at low tide, kind of a hiding place. And,
which is a perfect idea if you could find something like that.
Yeah, it was a cool place that we had, and it worked just fine. But then they recreated the inside of the cave down in L.A.
In a sound studio.
In a sound studio, you're right.
Okay, so this is, I'm supposed to be impressed on this $27,000 budget that's now a $270,000 budget on a soundstage in Los Angeles. I'm starting to lose a little bit of respect for the movie.
Well, it was a $500,000 budget movie, I believe. And, I really can't talk a whole lot about that circumstance because I really don't know for sure. But funding was supposedly in the middle, cut short. So there are a few people in Humboldt that are a little upset about not getting paid in full.
Ooh,
so,
shame.
Yeah, that's another story behind the movie, and I think that's what is being released because we did shoot this. It took it a while for it to get out there. But,
well, I know there wasn't any big Hollywood production release behind it, so they weren't going to get the millions of numbers they were looking for. And didn't it go like straight to DVD? I mean, it didn't even have a theatrical release that I remember.
Yeah, I think it went straight to DVD because I saw it in Redbox, or my wife did. That was the first place she saw it.
I saw like previews for it, like for on demand. And stuff like that.
I mean, right. So there wasn't any big Hollywood promotion set behind it, which means there wasn't any funding for it other than that. And when you cut a project short in the middle of something like that, you really just cut its nuts off. I mean, it's really just like, oh, let's just get this in the can so we're out of it now.
You know, I got to give crew and cast credit. You know, they knew something was going on, but they didn't really know, and they stuck it out, and everybody finished the film, and you know, we did our part. Too bad the film didn't jump the way it should have. But yeah, it was tough, and actually I helped them out with some script problems that they had. They had some timeline problems. Once you put it all into the sequence of what Kevin did, and when people went out and when Drybeck took off in the car, there was a lot of sequential things, chronological things that were not in order on that script that I had to help them with after they gave me the part. And I probably wouldn't have noticed it until they gave me the part. So that kind of goes into it. There's stuff that we shot in that film that didn't make it on the film that kind of explained it a little bit better. So I think that's why the beginning of the film was lengthened with the whole, the black guy, and then they find the white guy to do that.
Was hysterical, by the way. I thought
no, that was a funny scene.
That was a very funny scene.
On a little bit too long. Yeah, it drug a little because they were trying to stretch it out because there's some stuff that got shot that didn't make it in, I think due to an actor dispute. And the actor dispute, I think, was the guy that I took his part. They originally had casted another guy who's older than I was as Drybeck's, sidekick.
Caretaker.
Yeah, he's a little more of a shifty guy, and I think the original thought was this guy was, not as cool as I was, of course, but yeah.
Yeah. How could you be any more shifty than this guy? I mean, this guy right here. That guy looks pretty damn shifty. So they had an actor dispute, and they ended up giving you the part. I mean, were you already on site when that happened?
They actually shot a scene that didn't make it into the film. And we were out in front of the Bigfoot Museum, or the Willow Creek Museum, and we're shooting actually a news conference. And Drybeck is standing there, and he's like, "Hey, I'm telling you, I got this Bigfoot," and he's showing a Bigfoot print, and he's like, "I got one, in the locker back at home, and if you guys want to come around, $25,000 to the first person." And that's where this movie was supposed to start was this conference.
Yeah, that would have been killer to see.
That stimulated Sean, who is Drew Walsh, to like, hey, I want to go out and get my career back by busting this guy because I know he's lying. Anyway, I was in that scene. For some reason, the director told me to be in that scene. So it was kind of ambiguous who was the sidekick in that because there's quite a few guys around him. And since they had already shot that scene with that actor, I think in the end they had to cut it out because that actor probably disputed it or something like that, or didn't get paid. I don't know.
Well, they need to go back and like blur out the disputed people's faces and wherever the points they are, and we need a director's cut of this movie so that it makes some damn cohesive sense.
It would help explain a little bit, but not completely. Yeah, there was just too many questions, and you're never going to answer them. Doesn't matter how many times you watch that, unless you had a actual narrative behind the scenes movie of what actually.
Director's commentary. In this scene, right before we shot this, the jackass quit, so we had to cut 2.5 minutes of content, and this is what we have left. It's like a Grindhouse movie where they lose a reel and they just start the next one anyhow. They're like, screw it.
Oh.
You've seen this movie 1,000 times and nobody cares. Click. On to the next scene.
Yeah, I don't know. I was not part of the any of the editing but I ended up being in the movie. I did that one stunt where I get sucked out of the window.
Dude,
abducted.
For all of your parts of the movie, I mean, you're my favorite character because I know you. But I mean, it's like you had a 4-word script in the entire movie. I'm sure you had lines to Drybeck, but we never heard them. You know, you're just in the background talking to Drybeck, so we don't actually hear any of that dialogue. So all we hear is you say Drybeck, others, camera, truck. Ah! And that's it. I mean, that's literally all we hear from you throughout the whole movie.
I think I had like 4 more words that they cut out, but that was it.
Sorry, Ronnie, we had to cut you out of this scene.
Okay.
I mean, look at
I got to do some special effects makeup, and my face was all beat up at different stages, or it was going whatever was going on.
Oh, yeah, what, dude?
Attacked me. So there's a lot of questions you got to ask yourself. Why was that thing so good at killing everything else, but it didn't kill me?
Yeah. Well, it drew your ass through the window at the end there. Hey, now, Wes, I'm sure you got some questions for Rowdy. Go ahead and shoot one, buddy.
Okay, so you answered one of my questions already about where you guys filmed it. You said like near Ferndale, right?
Yeah, it's just south of Ferndale.
I was curious, like, did anything, mysterious happen while you guys were out there on, like filming? Did like people
you
have
got
Bigfoot
50
on the
people
brain?
Hanging around the mountaintop?
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? I'd be a curious motherfucker too, and we'll go over there and be like, "What the fuck's going on?" Like.
Well, everybody's definitely excited about it. And I think the highlight, which most people don't know, is that Bobo came in and did some security for us because we had to leave our equipment out there. And this is in the middle of ranch country, so I wouldn't call it deep wilderness, but I'd call it ranch country with very few people around and a lot of cows.
Right.
The little secluded area. It was an old Boy Scout camp. That I had a friend of mine's family had bought and had it for many years.
I was gonna say, can we rent that place, man? That place looks absolutely fantastic to have a squatching weekend in. It's like, can we get directions? We get hooked up or something, man.
Yeah, I get hooked up with my buddy to get out to that spot.
Rowdy, I'm serious. Maybe for next year we need to schedule a trip up to that sucker and see if there is any real Bigfoot going on up there. Delve into a new location a little bit.
Bobo came on and he was, did some security and he helped out the guy that was in the Bigfoot outfit get his walk down and, get his mannerism down because they expected to, I think, show more of the Bigfoot, but I think the mask was not completed. So they ended up not showing face and mask, and they had a pretty good suit. It wasn't bad. I saw it, it's about finished. But leading into your other question about Wes, if they saw anything, the producers tried to force an incident, so to say, with a supposed sighting on the drive back, because it was a mysterious little drive back, especially for a crew that was mainly out of Chicago, at least most of the keys, the directors, producers, a crew out of Chicago who just moved to LA probably 4 or 5 years earlier and started making movies coming up to this part of the woods. You know, they had never been in anything like this.
Pooping in vaults and
yeah, just driving through this area. So yeah, something got forced, but due to the I would say the untalented abilities of the Bigfoot portrayer, the stunt didn't happen, or the little.
Was one of those moments?
That was kind of typical of the guy that was in the suit. So
another question is, did you have a stunt guy, or did you really get yanked out that window?
That was me. It was all me. I also did the stunt driving in the trucks. You know, the peeling out and the driving and all that. Anyway, yeah, that was me. And probably the coolest guy to work on in that film was a guy named Eric Chin, excuse me. And he's a stunt coordinator. He's done some stunt coordinating for with Jackie Chan, and he did like the first. I think it was the second Kung Fu Panda. He did all the choreography for the Kung Fu for most of the movie. Anyway, he was a really neat guy to get to work with, and the guy that they had, that they thought they were going to have to do the stunt with, they were going to put a stunt double in, but since I stepped into it, they saw, hey, you're fine, you're in shape enough, you know.
Sorry, stunt guy, you're fired.
Fucking Rowdy come in taking everybody's job.
Rowdy's driving trucks. He's location managing. He's acting. Before too long, they're gonna have him behind a camera. Yeah, it was just like, you know, the idea that they had going on. That's the way I would expect to film a reality movie, would be to have 3 or 4 guys like us show up into a location, exactly the same location, would be absolutely hysterical. And actually just run your GoPro, run your little handy cam, just everybody run a camera all weekend long, and then bring that footage home and make a movie out of it. I think it would be absolutely hysterical. But that's not what they did. They showed up with 50 people and made this horrible, non-cohesive, not a Bigfoot movie. It's got a Bigfoot in it, though. We can finally say that.
Oh, no, yeah. I told you earlier, I am going to publicly say, I've said it many times, that I know I shoot my mouth off. Old Wes, here he goes. I've said Bigfoot Lost Coast Tapes isn't a Bigfoot movie. It's not a Bigfoot movie. I stand corrected. Now that I've watched it on a very big screen TV, I have noticed things that I have not noticed before, I guess because I was taking notes, you know. But, yeah, it is a Bigfoot movie. There are Bigfoot in it.
Well, that was it's definitely...
They actually portray the Bigfoot well, if you really follow the movie. And the Bigfoot were actually telling the people to get out of there because these other things were coming.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and now Drybeck says that the big electrical fences were to keep the Bigfoot out of the compound. Did he realize that he was dealing with goat-legged demon alien faces from outer space?
I don't think so. I don't think in the script that had materialized. He knew about the Bigfoot, though. He had seen it. Whether or not these guys actually had a body or not, you know, that's what I'm saying. The narrative behind the scenes of this film is needed just to explain it, and I think it would make it a good film first, but it would also, you know, explain the film itself first.
And that kid kept talking about the money shot. It's the money shot. No, that's not a money shot. I've seen a money shot. That is definitely not a money shot. But anyhow, yeah, it's like...
I think I would have turned off the camera many a times before these people went through all these experiences, you know. Oh, that's where I kind of got lost. Like, you know, don't turn the camera off, you know. Yeah, let's film myself dying.
Yeah, I hate you. You know, the fuzzy head, Brillo head kid, the sound kid. You knew he was going to die. Yeah, the black guy gave up his spot for him, so you knew he had to die. I mean, that's just the way. It's like having a red shirt on in Star Trek. You just know you're not coming back. Hey, Ensign Ricky, come on, Ensign whatever your name is, get on board. You're coming along too. Oh well, Ensign Ricky's coming back, but you sure as hell aren't. I mean, that's the way this poor kid was. But how many? All right, so you got the chick back by herself hanging, while these two ass clowns go with Tribeck on the wild goose chase down to the cave.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're healing or doing your magical mantra, whatever. Or you know, she's a Reiki master, so maybe she's been healing you. I'm not really sure what's going on. Was she smudging you the whole time? I mean, come on, you can tell us now.
Well, she was pretty cute. Yeah, she definitely was. But you know, I was pretty gross, man. I had these red spots all over my face and here a little bit. So
even Rowdy wanted to get a piece.
Was the idea? I think they cut out one scene where it was like at the epitome of, you know, pus and blisters and stuff all over my face. So whatever got me, you know, was like a poison or something like that. It was kind of doing me in.
I can't. It didn't. We couldn't figure out why you were dying because no one ever really. He got hurt while he was trying to find a way. Well, that
time was tough. Yeah, that was a tough timeline as far as me being out and protecting everybody. You know, I'm
you get blamed for everything while you're out there protecting them. That was like LaRoche, y'all, man. LaRoche.
Yeah, and he just took me up, and I got to jam out there. You know what happened when he jammed out there, and I wasn't there, and then somehow I found Kevin, you know, later in the day with the camera, but that was later in the day because he didn't take off until later in the day. So there was a lot that went on outside during that day that you have no idea. All you see is, you know, a few people getting dragged around and some bright lights and some hoofs go across, you know, the ground. Yeah. So I intentionally left it open. You know, that's what it feels like to me. You know, this is left wide open to another movie or.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you could start pitching it as the location manager instead of Bigfoot the Lost Coast tapes. Now it could be Aliens the Lost Coast tapes.
No,
and you know we can move on to we can just keep filming bad movies at the same location over and over again and make some money. You see how that works? It's cookie cutter. If this one made any money at all, then we should be able to multiply that by 10 on the next one, right? Isn't that how Hollywood works?
Cut the Bigfoot off, call it Lost Coast Tapes, The Return of LaRoche. Because he gets taken. You don't know what happens to him.
That is true. We really don't know. You could like you could like cut your leg off and put a chainsaw on it and become like Kung Fu.
That poison, like the poison on your face, like combines your DNA with those Hoove creatures.
Well, you know what's funny is they actually have cut the Bigfoot off of the title of this movie. If you go and buy it at Walmart now, it's just called The Lost Coast Tapes.
Yeah, originally that's what it was, just called The Lost Coast Tapes. And, yeah, when they released it, they put the Bigfoot in front of it, I think, to just get that Bigfoot crowd, you know. Because you know, The Lost Coast Tapes, you have no idea it has a Bigfoot in it.
Yeah, you kind of have to Google the Lost Coast to understand what it's about, and that's just missing people more so than it's about Bigfoot. You know, there are a lot of missing people come out of the Lost Coast, and is it because of these alien crazy-ass interdimensional beasts? Now, if you listen and watch the movie closely, like Wes and I did, you know, the last couple of times, you follow the dialogue. Tribeck talks about the Bigfoot being benevolent and protecting people from, well, what are they protecting him from? Well, the other dimension, of course. You know, and then it just kind of moves on from there. And then, you know, later on, as they're going down to the coast, he's like, well, who are these things? You know, why are they trying to get to it? He's like, they are Legion. So he kind of hints to the demon, goat foot, alien face things all along, but there just isn't enough dialogue to kind of figure out what the hell they are.
Right.
Or why they're killing everybody.
My phone's going down. Yeah, and going back to me getting sucked out of the window, you know, that's kind of, you know, I just got sucked out the window. You can't assume I'm dead.
That's right. See?
LaRoche is the
return of LaRoche.
The return of LaRoche.
What sucked me out the window? Who said it was the bad thing? You know, hey, maybe somebody was protecting me.
Oh, maybe the Squatch yanked you out the window to get you away from the demon thing.
Dude!
So you can return as Chainsaw Puss Man. The return
LaRoche. LaRoche comes back with like a gray alien sidekick or some shit, you know?
Dude, see,
with,
the
like,
movie's fleshing. We know Doug Hudson. You know, he's our FX guy already. I'm sure we can get him involved with what little bit we can do. Yeah, get online and figure it out for yourself is what he'll tell us. But it's okay. We'll really feel it ghetto style, man. The return of LaRoche. Chainsaw-legged man. Oh, that would be fantastic, though. I'd love to see that place. That would be an amazing trip to actually go and see the location. I love the movie. As cheesy and crappy and incohesive as it is, I still enjoy watching the movie. I don't know why. I guess because every time I watch it, I see something a little bit differently than I did the last time. But, again, Wes has another question, I'm sure.
No, I'm just, I was totally agreeing with what you were saying. Like, I like it. I mean, now that I've like seen, you know, like it's one of the ones that like I like. Like I really like. I feel bad for talking so bad about it for so long because, like you said, it's one of those movies that every time you watch it, you catch something else, and it's like, yeah, there's a whole lot of missed dialogue and you know, missed time with things, and like how I noticed, like, you know, their masks were off when they pulled up, but their masks were on, you know, like in the conversation, like it kind of, so like I started noticing all these little things, but now like watching it, you get exactly what, like with that conversation with, what's her name, Robin, I think was the character's name, and she's talking to Drybeck, and she, you know, says that you thought that they, you know, your character thought that they were protectors, and, you know, like all that, like, and, you know, against, you know, demons and shit like that, you know, so like
it actually touches on a lot of, you know, the crazy talk that we talk about. I think it touched on portals, different appearing, that kind of stuff. I think
you heard it here first, folks.
There. And you know, if there's a Bigfoot, maybe there's other creatures of some sort, but
but see, that's the thing. You have to actually watch this movie, and then go back and watch it again, and then the second time, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, duh, like that was fucking good. Like,
and don't watch it on your phone.
Yeah, don't watch it on your phone.
That's right. Y'all heard it here live on Bigfoot Entertainment Weekly. Rowdy Kelly says portals are crazy. Anyhow, moving right along with all the crazy talk. Yeah, there was a bunch of woo that was wrapped up in this, but like I said, I wish we would have known that he was like a defunct paranormal investigator trying to get back on his feet. By the whole premise of the movie is kind of lost by cutting those first scenes out of the movie. IMDb had to tell me what this movie was about.
Yeah. I think they had to salvage what they had left, and it took a while. I mean, it took me almost 2 years. I think over 2 years to get my SAG pay from that movie. So, you know, they obviously paid a pretty steep penalty for not getting paid on time, and I think that is what led to having to cut that whole scene out, was whatever dispute they had with that actor.
Wow, that's just horrible.
Yeah, it sucks because there was a lot of local people that were in that scene. You know, it was a total news conference type scene with a guy giving his statement and talking to a bunch of news people. So it kind of sucked in that sense because
just another example how one asshole ruins everything. I mean, see, I knew I could make him smile with that one. So yeah, I mean, we're really glad you could have the behind the scenes stuff for this. If you could change one thing about your experience on that, what would it be?
Change one thing about my experience. I think just the letdown at the end, you know, the few people that didn't get paid. Regardless of what a movie turns out to be, you know, there's a whole effort that goes on behind it, and that usually takes, you know, a lot of people working hard, working late nights, working 12 to sometimes 15 hours a day, and you know, that's what's important, and that's what you got to look at sometimes is, hey, there's a bunch of people got paid and they had a good time and they worked hard and it made a project. Now, whether it's good or not, that's why you only blame the producers and the directors and the writer. So
That's right. You can't blame the actors or the guys that find your locations or become 7 or 8 different things for your program.
Well, it was amazing locations, though. Every scene was like, I mean, beautiful scenes and shit like that. Like
the creek was fantastic. Perfectly
Yeah.
done for big. Was that a Patty track, or was that the Grace Harbor track?
that was actually our art department jumping in and just making it
Faking a Bigfoot track. Huh? Well, they did a good job.
long to make a print because they actually made that one pretty. They did have a base that they print with, and then they went in and messed with it a little bit more to make it look good. Yeah, there was a few different locations, and that's what I want to push now. I'll go ahead and pitch it. Humboldt County.
Definitely.
We've got a lot of different locations. We just got through with 2 movies. We new Daniel Radcliffe movie. They shot.
Harry Potter. Nice.
Like 6 days up here. I didn't work on that. I was still working on another movie that shot up here, and we shot 5 weeks up here. And I've been working on that since May, and I did the same things. I'm location scout and manage. But that was a bigger movie. That was like a 40-person crew for a 28-day shoot. And Humboldt County did a good job. City of Eureka did a good job. State parks are really becoming more lenient now towards filming coming in. I did some stuff on this film that we've never done in the Redwoods before as far as stunts. You got to wait to see what that is. But
can you at least tell us the name of the movie?
Yeah, I can say that. It's called Woodshock.
Woodshock, nice.
And I'll let you guys look it up and figure out.
For sure. If somebody's interested in getting you as a location scout, how do they get a hold of you?
They usually get a hold of me through our film commissioner or just through our website, or if they've heard of me or worked with somebody that's worked with me before. But typically it'll go through the film commissioner because you rarely work for the same production company. I've only worked for the same production company probably 3 or 4 times as far as the same company coming back up. But, in my career, I probably worked for 100 different production companies, somewhere around there. So they're all different when they come up. So they have to have a central place to look, and, our film commission is where a lot of them will start. I typically do the movies and some commercials or music videos or whatever. Yeah.
Humboldt County is an amazing location to shoot at. I mean, you can't if you need wilderness, you can't go wrong. If you need fog, you can't go wrong. If you need rain, you can't go wrong. If you need coastline, you can't go wrong. If you need good people, you can't go wrong. I mean, just Humboldt has a lot of good stuff in it. Yeah,
we do pretty good, and we also have suburbia looks, and we have a decent cityscapes too. That really can put you back into a time period or do period pieces. There's a lot going on up here, and our crew locally is getting better. A lot of young people are getting opportunities to work. So yeah, no, it worked out, and it was the start of a few films coming up. Typically, we'll get a big film about every 7 to 8 years, but ever since I had kids, I dedicated to staying here in Humboldt and stopped traveling. So I just work on whatever comes up to Humboldt now.
Well, there you have it, folks.
Other than work, oh my bad.
No.
Other than work, do you have any like epic adventures coming up? I heard you say you were going to be having some time to be going out. You got anything like?
Yeah. So, well, I'm part of the Bluff Creek project, original crew, and Bluff Creek Camera Project. We got to get back out and find out what's up with the fires. So we had fires really close to the film site. Patterson-Gimlin film site. In fact, it was just up on the top ridge above it. So I think that's going to stimulate a lot of game movement down in those creek bottoms. Creek bottoms didn't get burned or on the outside edges of this whole fire complex. It was a pretty bad year, and it was pretty smoky. Everything's out now. I was just out at the lake this weekend, and Ruth Lake just a week and a half ago had fire pretty much surrounding the whole lake. Some video, and it was pretty epic looking, the end of the world looking, just being surrounded by fire on every ridge.
Yeah.
But it's rebounded out there already. All the fires are out. The water is fine. You can definitely see where the fires happen. But yeah, we have to get back out there because they've closed the area that all the cameras are in, and get into there and kind of hang out and see what's going on, because I'm sure we have quite a bit of camera action just because that was a unburnt waterway.
Well, that's one of the things that I was going to say was, the waterway really hasn't changed much since it's been regrown since the 70s. I mean, the logging stopped there in 77 or 78, and all that stuff's just kind of been regrowing. Nothing drastic has made any of the animal movements change in that area for quite some time. Now you have a big fire that comes through there. You've got the untouched lake bottoms, and now are lots and lots of food because all your ridges are burnt up. It's going to cause a lot of animals to walk kind of right in front of everything.
Yeah.
At least that's the hope.
Yeah, well, just their escape from the fire, and then what's left as far as vegetative matter and habitat. So yeah, there'll definitely be a lot of action down there. Yeah, I think Robert and I are planning a trip up Bluff Creek sometime in October, and trying to get at least an overnighter and go up as far as we can go to the headwaters, which when you drive in, you see off to the right, way down low. But past Scorpion Creek and up into these other creek inlets, and just get some nights down in the bottom, which we haven't got to do last year. I think we did a couple of years ago. But it's pretty cool when you get down in those remote bottoms and start spending the night, and you're the only person within 30 or 40 miles sometimes. So
yeah, we spent the night up Howard Trail when I was out with Justin and John last weekend, and 7,200 feet at the lake, all the way up on Howard Trail. Yeah, and it was so windy that nothing moved. So it wasn't a great Bigfoot trip, but we were bear hunting is more what we were bow hunting for bears, more what we were doing. So, it was kind of a dual trip. Everything's always a dual trip. We don't really ever go Bigfooting. We go to do stuff in the Sierras, and the Bigfoot show up. That's how that happens. I mean, that's really what happens up there. We don't really go specifically looking for them, but for some reason they find Justin. Never understand why, but that kid's a magnet for those things. Anyhow. You got a wrap-up question for Rowdy West? Let's get this thing in the can tonight.
If they come to you, are you gonna be down for that? I mean, we threw out some pretty amazing ideas for Lost Coast Tapes Part 2.
Yeah.
I'll make sure Corey gets to see this, but this stuff I kind of talked to them about, and they want to do a big epic. They thought something big and epic was coming after this. Like, oh, what happens after this? Let's make our big epic film. What happens after? But I told them, I said, within the same budget, if you actually have that whole budget, you could make a pretty interesting narrative about all the questions.
A really good voiceover guy, a really good voiceover guy that can help them keep things cohesive. I'll be happy to do that kind of work for you guys.
Yeah. Hey, I don't mind being covered in hair and playing some kind of creature.
Jesus Christ, that'd be a big ass Bigfoot way. Woo! Alrighty.
No, but yeah.
Anything out of the question if they came up and shot it up here and paid me. Yeah, you bet.
Well, yeah, and I think it would give them a chance, like, if they're going to do it even more epic, like, it would give them a chance to, like, kind of apologize to the people that didn't get paid, hire them, kind of give them a little bit more money, like, I'm not telling them how to do it, but, I mean, it would make up, and there'd be a lot more better vibes going.
Yeah, no, I think that some of the worst vibes are the people out of LA, but the people that were up here that worked on it, a couple of them were friends, and they were really cool about it. And I felt bad, but that's the way it goes sometimes in this business. And but that, the first time it ever happened to me, and in that time it was like 12 years of work. So yeah, it's too bad, but more importantly, it's just getting out the word that we make films up here and commercials and whatever, and California is a place to shoot right now because there's a lot of incentives for films to be shot, the smaller budget films, keep them in California, and hopefully they do something with it, and more power to anybody making a film.
Get a hold of the Humboldt County Film Commission, is that correct?
Yeah, Humboldt Del Norte Film Commission.
There you go.
Humboldt Film Commission will pop up on Google. And you can go to their website, and it has location ideas, it has crew, definitely has people to get a hold of, and yeah. Thanks for having me on the show, though, guys.
Yeah, dude, we really
Thanks for
appreciate
coming.
it. Yeah, for sure. The great, the one, the only, the backstory of the Lost Coast tapes from Rowdy Kelly, also known as La Roche. That's right, people. That's going to be the end of our show for the night. We want to thank...
The beard.
Oh, yeah.
Right. He's got the beard going on. We'd love to thank everybody for listening, and may the Squatch be with you.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to even fucking mention that music.
Creepiest ass ending ever, dude. Wow. Dude, it's like all I see are clowns coming at me, and I just want to bust them all up, man. I want to kill clowns. I hate clowns, and this makes me want to kill clowns.
Creepy.
I'll play the clown squatch in the next movie.
Dude, a clown squatch, I would like hit with a hammer, bro. You'd have the claw end too. Wouldn't even be the round end. You'd get with that claw. Thanks, everybody.